Hello everybody. So I thought I'd do something a little bit different today, because normally what I'll do is I'll get a model, cut it off at sprue, prime it, and then I do a shot, and then that's it. You see it primed, and then next thing I do is a long form video where it's fully painted, and that's your lot. So I thought today I'd do one of these warriors. So I'm going to go through one of these warriors, and we'll do it in a way where I'll cut it off at sprue, we'll prime it, and then I'll do a prime built-up model. So I think today what we're going to do is we're going to do the Shade Weaver version today. So we're going to do this one. You just see that one there. So there you go. So we're going to do that one today. So we want to be doing, looking on the sprue, so we want part 13 and 14. So let's find that. Let's have a look. I wish there was some order to these sprues, because they're just like really annoying. But anyway, not to worry, we'll find it. So part 13 and 14. This is, for anybody who hasn't done Warhammer before, this is one of the pains you have to go through. So obviously I haven't got a body on there, so it has to be on here somewhere. So there you go. So that's, oh, sorry about that. There's part 14 there, look, as you can see, 14. So we'll cut that off. So with your clippers, as you can see on there, you've got a right little tiny little bit what holds it on. So what you want to do is you want to try, use the back end of your clippers and clip that off nice and steady. And get it as close as you can without causing pits. So we'll cut that off there. Let's get that sorted. Right, so there you go. So that's one part done, sorted. And then what do we say? 13 touches the front half here. So we'll clip that off. Clip. And then what you want to do is, you'll always find, if you can get it as even as you can, get it as flat as you can towards the model and clip. And cut that off of there. So let's have a look. My clippers are getting they're getting dull now. Right, so that's part 13 and part 14. That's good. So that's them two pieces. We'll put them there for now. And then we want to do the warrior side. We want to have, what number is that? So we want part 15, which is there, as you can see, part 15. So we'll look for that. So there you go, look. Part number 15. So we'll cut that off. One there, and one there. So that's part 15. And then let's have a look. So we'll put that on. So we're going to do this variation here. As you can see, you've got your variations here. So you've got, that'll be the Shade Weaver, which you've already done. So that's the green ones, and then the blue ones are the warrior. So warrior wise, we can choose from, so this part here, you can choose either 18 or 19, which is your different weapon. So in my case, I think I'm going to go for 19, because I like the blade on that one. And the class is the same weapon anyway, don't make any difference. So what we'll do is then we'll look for part 19, which is just a sword, which I think I can, no, that's not it. So have a look, 18 there. And it has to be hidden, doesn't it, somewhere. So we're looking for one of them blades. So there you go. So number 19 there, look. So the tip of the day is this. If you've got an attachment to a sprue and you've only got a thin bit, cut the thin bit first, because if you don't, what happens sometimes, it snaps. And then that's the end of that then. Right, so that's that done. So there you go, so that's his sword done. And then we're looking for the next parts, which is going to be in our case 20 and 21. So let's have a look for them, which I think I've seen them already, have I? Or maybe I was just dreaming it. Let's have a look. So 20, that's part 20 there, look. So again, you've got the thin bit there, and then you've got like the bit there, so we'll cut off the thin bit first. So let's get that cut off there. Okay, and then there you go. Right, so that's part 20, and we said 21, didn't we? So wherever that is now. So part 21 there, look, there it is. So let's get that cut off. So there you go. There you go, so that's part 21. And then let's go back, let's refer back to this thing. So we've got 19, so imagine they're stuck together, which is this parts picked up here. We've got part 19, which is that, 20 and 21. And then we get to choose the head, which is 16 or 17. So let's have a look what head we're going to do. Let's find them, 16 or 17. So that's 16. As you can see, his face is showing on there. And then 17, wherever that one is. So that's 16. We might end up doing 16 here because it becomes tedious having to look for them all. But anyway, 17. So you got, as you can see, that's 17 there, look. So he's got his face sort of covered up. And then we've got, I've lost it again, 16 there, which shows most of his face. So I think we'll do 16 because I like the look on that. So let's just get that cut off. There you go. So in effect now, I think, yeah, let's have a look. Yep. So when we're done, it's going to look like that, obviously, with that that different blade on, and that's going to be done. So that being said, what we've got to do now is we've got to basically stick these parts together, take all the mould lines off, and that should be that. So on these particular mandrakes, they've not been too bad actually. So what we're going to do is, let's just have a look. Might be easy for me to show you on here. So if you look on that, I don't know if you can see it on there, there's a right fine little mould line. So all we've got to do is, using the back of your knife, is just literally scrape that off. And as you can see, there you go, you got your bits of waste. So scrape that off, nice and smooth. And there you go, that's where it attached to the sprue. So what we can do is literally shave that off, and then if you just run that down, and then as you can see there, look now, it's not as smooth as I would like it at the moment, but that's fine. So we'll just take that down a bit, take it down a bit. And then that, when it's primed, will look perfectly fine. Now you're not going to be able to get it on the back of that, so you've got to wait up here. So same thing again. On there, you can see on his arm, there's a little piece there. So what I want to do is just shave that off, nice and gentle, and then using the back of your knife to scrape it down until you get it smooth. There you go. So there you go, look. And then what we do is smooth it off. And that literally, if you can see that there, is now ready for painting. And then obviously he's got a mould line at the back of his arm, so we'll just scrape that off. Now with mould lines you can get away with them sometimes because they're only tiny, you don't notice them, but if you're dry brushing you will notice it. So I'm not quite happy with that yet, it's quite a little bit rough still. So I'll just shape that while I'm doing it. There you go, that's better. And then down the front of his arm again there, another mould line. And there you go. So that would be literally done then. So we'll do that. Make sure it's cleaned off. It's only a fine little thing on that one there, but end of the day, if you're going to do it, you might as well do it right, aren't you? So there you go, so that's that done. So what we're going to do then is we're going to go through all these parts. We're going to get them all trimmed up, and then once you've got through, what you're looking for basically is, if we're saying mould lines, you're looking for, you can't hardly see it, but it's like there's a right fine little line. I just can point it out. There's a right fine little line there, right on that right little bit there. It's just right on that bit there, there's a right little line, and then a right thin line on that bit there. And what will happen is, if you dry brush over it, as you pull your brush over, it'll grab the edge of the brush, and you'll get like, and you basically be able to see it. So, but anyway, what we'll do is we'll get all these parts cleaned up, and then we'll come back, and then we'll start doing the gluing together bit. Right, everybody, welcome back. So I've got all them cleaned up now, or as best as I'm going to do. So what we're going to do now is glue. So let's just, you don't have to be super careful with it, but I wouldn't say have it splashing out all over the shop. So what I tend to do is, I've got a little cloth here, as you can see I do a bit of dry brush on there. What I'll do is I'll just run the glue. So as you can see there, I've got a right tiny little drop. That's just to get the glue flowing. And then what we're going to do is, we're going to have a look at, oh sorry about that, and have a look at the easiest way to glue it. So best thing to do is make sure that you get it lined up first. So get it in order. So what you want to do is have a look at it, get it lined up. Okay, right, so that gives us, that's the base idea there. Now that looks really messy there, but it's not going to be as messy as it looks, because the simple fact is, on these mandrakes they've got runes on them like this. So if it hasn't gone quite as you expected it, you can make it look like it's supposed to be like that. So what I'm going to do is get some glue. I'm going to try and stick it on all the areas where we know there's a flat surface. So there, there, all on the edge of that body there, that bit there, and all in that bit there, look. Right, so we've got his glue, we've got it all lined up, so let's get that stuck on. So we'll get that lined up there, stick it on, and then if we just squeeze that together, get that lined up there, squeeze it together. Let's have a look, there you go, squeeze that together, and on that side. Now what will happen is, where you've glued it as well, you'll always get a bit of leakage. You can't help that. But the good thing is about that is, where the glue has leaked out a bit on the seam, it'll fill it. So when you prime it, you shouldn't be able to see it. So that's that part. So we want the next bit there, which will be part number 15. Make sure that one on it. So we want to line that up. See where that goes. It's in there. So again, on all flat surfaces where it's linked. So I'm going to do it on in there. I'm going to do it in there. And I'm going to do it in there. There you go. So let's get that stuck on. So that's your part here. Look now, let's get this stuck on. So we'll put that on there. Get it lined up. There you go. Just make sure that's, so as you can see, look, I might have put a bit too much glue on there, but that's fine, it's not a problem. So if I just wipe it off a bit, there you go. Just wipe it down that seam. Now remember, if you're getting glue on your fingers, be careful touching your model where you end up with fingerprints, and that's not what you want. So make sure that's still lined up alright. Squeeze that together. Squeeze that together. Squeeze that together. So there you go. That's literally, there you go. So that's 99% of it done already. That's lined up. And then we've got the fiddly bit now, which is, look, I mean, that's absolutely tiny. So make sure that you're ready for it, because if you look at this lot, I'll try to show you. If you look at that there, look, it's got the tiniest little indent there for that other piece to go in. So that other piece is literally, I mean, look, that's my thumbnail there, look, it's absolutely tiny. So that little piece there lines up to there. So we'll get that done. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to put the glue in the pit on that one. So we'll get that. And what I'm going to do is just put the glue in the pit like that. That's it, that's enough. And then what we want to do now is try and hold it in such a way, because I mean, look at that, it's ridiculous, it's just totally ridiculous, isn't it? Get it lined up. My God, I should have some tweezers. I ain't got any tweezers, but not to worry. God, this is ridiculous. There you go. Wow, that took some doing. There you go. Right, there you go, look. It's like the world's smallest bit. But there you go, that's lined up. So we'll leave that to set now. And then obviously what we've got left over then is, so we've got his body, we've got his sword, we've got his head, and we've got his arm. So what we'll do there is we'll leave them to dry a minute or two, and then when we come back I'll show you what I do to prep it for priming. Right, it's not fully dry yet, but what I want you to show is you can see there, look, you've got the little pit for his arm, and then you've got the other pit for his arm. So if you look at this now, I know some people go, well, you don't need to do that, you can just stick it on, but if I stick that on there now, if you look, it's going to cover quite a bit of that up. So stick that on, what I'll do is, when this glue's dried a bit and it's somewhere near, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, on that armhole there, is I'm going to blue tack. I'm going to use some blue tack. I'm going to put some blue tack on his feet, and I'm going to stick it to the base. Now, there's a little skull on that base, by the way, you can just see it, look. I'm going to stick it onto the base like so, and then when I take it for priming, it'll have, his face will be stuck on like that, and both arms will be stuck on using blue tack. And then when we've primed it, we can just pull it apart. I can get into paint all these little bits in here, all these little details that you won't normally get to. And I know a lot of people say, well, you don't need to do that. Well, no, you don't. But I like to finish my models off properly. So, as you can see, there you go. We'll come back to that in a moment or two. So, I'll show you that in a moment. So, we'll come back when that glue's dried, and then we'll take it from there. Right guys, we're back. So what we're going to do now is we're going to stick the model up as if it's going to be fully built. So for that we're going to use, there you go, look, the smallest bit of blue tack you can do. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a right little tiny little bit, as you can see there, look. And what we're going to do is we're going to stick that into the pit on the back of the head. So even that look, you can see it's just too much. So we'll go even smaller on that. So let's put that there. So we've got a tiny little bit, and we're just doing it is enough so that the model looks like it's fully built, so that when we prime it, any shadows or like that will be taken into account. So what I'm going to do is get that tiniest little bit, as you can see. I'm just going to stick it on as if it's stuck on. Now, as I say, you don't have to do this, but I prefer to do this because I just find it easier to do the overall model. So we'll stick it on, and there you go, look. So that now is as if we'd already glued it on. Then we need to do exactly the same thing again for his arms. So again, we need the smallest little piece we can find. What we're going to do is we're going to stick it into that pit there and that pit there. So we'll do that. So we'll put that into the little pit. It's fiddly. So there you go. And what we do is we get the arm and we stick it on, if we can. That would have failed straight away, wouldn't it? But anyway, not to worry. So we'll stick that on. We'll get that stuck on as best as we can. There you go. So let's make sure that's how we want it. And that, hopefully, God, we're making a right ash of this, aren't we? Right, there you go. So stick that into that pit hole there. And there you go. There you go, look. So that now looks like it's stuck on. And then we get the smallest bit again for that pit. There we go. And we get this arm. And then we do exactly the same again. So grab that. So that's got to go into that pit there. Once we've lined it up. And there you go. So that'll be what the model's going to look like. And then what we want to do now is fix him to his base. So we fix him to his base. A little bit more blue tack. If there are any tool that I'm going to give anybody advice on to use for models like these, it's blue tack. So what I can do now is stick a bit to his foot, and then a little bit there, stick that to his foot. So literally just like that, and we'll get him to his base and stick him to his base like so. Get him lined up, stick him to his base. So that now in effect is your mini done, or it looks like it's done. But what we'll do is I'll get the stand. So what we do now is, if we stick him like that, look, in effect that's your mini together. But we've done it like that, so what we can do now is I'll get my priming stick, which you've seen before in the videos. So that literally, as you can see, look, that's my priming stick there. So we'll get that with a nice splodgy blue tack. There you go. Stick that to end at stick. And then what we're going to do is take the mini, take him off his stand, and we're just going to, and there you go. That's now a mini ready for priming. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you what I do to prepare my primer. So in this case our primer is going to be grey seer. So that'll be ready. So what we'll do is let's go now, and I'll show you what I do to get me primer ready for usage. Right guys, as you can see we're at the sink. So I'm going to take his grey seer, give some hot water, And all we're going to do is just going to warm the paint up. That starts running warm, so we're just going to warm the tin up. Do a good check. Warm the tin up. Give it a good check. And the reason we're doing this is because what we want to do is we want to get the paint so it's warm, so that it flows better. So we'll just keep doing at least 2 minutes minimum of warming the paint up and checking. Just need a little ball inside there, just checking up. There you go. Lovely. Yeah, so that feels good now. So the can, when you start checking the can, it'll go cold again, which tells you that the paint's still cold. This can now feels like it's warm still. So just keep checking it. Now, obviously, if you've got an airbrush, you can use an airbrush for this, but I don't own an airbrush, so I'm just going to do it like this instead. That's fine. So what we'll do now is keep checking this, and we're going to dry the can off. We don't want any moisture whilst we're spraying. So there you go. So what we'll do now is we'll go actually prime the model itself now. So I'm going to have to be... It's actually started to rain outside now, which is a bit annoying. I'm supposed to show you, but we'll do that. So I'll go get set up now and then I'll show you priming the model. Right guys, we're going to prime this model now. As I said, it's raining outside, so I'm doing it in a way where we're not in the wet. And I'll show you up. So let's just give it a quick... There you go. So we're going to... all angles. And that is done. So as you can see there, look, it's primed up, ready for painting. And I'll see you when I paint the full model.